You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
This is the Happy Hour Network.
Pay attention, son. This is for your own good.
This is Ben Yamkadane.
And Tom Reed.
Of the Believe the Hype NBA podcast.
And you're tuned into the Earnestly Speaking podcast, the show that takes more contested shots than J.R. Smith.
The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heartthrob in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
All right, welcome to the Earnestly Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Ernest E.J. Christian. Once again, subscribe to the podcast at the iTunes Store, Stitcher Radio. Of course, you can find us as well, too, on Spreaker now, which is powered by NGST Sports Radio Network, as well as the Happy Hour Network, which is powered by Blog Talk Radio. On the line with me today, he is, of course, Lakers blogger and podcast host of the SB Nation's Silver Screen and Roll of the Lakers, and good friend. It was his first time on the show, actually. But this has been coming along. This has been a long time coming. Anthony Irwin is here with us. Anthony, how you doing, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me on. You're completely right. We've been trying to do this for way too long. I'm glad we could finally put it together.
Yeah, scheduling. I mean, this time of year is tough, like especially when you have football going on. And I mean, we were trying to do the show actually about a month ago, and we just finished baseball right at the end of the World Series and all that. So this time of year is always hard to get people locked into that time because everybody has other commitments going on. So I'm really glad you had a chance to come on today.
No, I couldn't be happier to have it. You put on a great show.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. First question out the gate. Did you see Star Wars this weekend?
I have not. I'm supposed to see it on Wednesday. So if you or any of the fans put any spoilers out there, I'm going to hunt you down. Yeah. I'll go all the way out to Miami and I'll hunt you down.
I haven't seen it yet though. What I did do this weekend, because I'm not one of those Star Wars junkies. I like Star Wars. I'm not obsessed with it like everybody else is, but I do like it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I honestly, I completely exaggerated there. I haven't seen any of them, so it's kind of cool that, like, I'm starting almost basically from scratch with this latest, trio of movies, and then I'll just kind of backtrack and catch back up as I go along.
Wait, you've never seen any of the Star Wars ever in life?
Well, I guess technically I've seen them, but I saw, like, the first, episodes, 4, 5, and 6. I saw those when I was, 4, 5, or 6.
Like,
and then, and then I saw the later ones when I was, in high school and stuff. And none of them really made that lasting of an impact on them. So I honestly, I know like the general gist of the story, but I'm really excited to kind of pick it up. And I went on Twitter the other day and I said that I didn't watch them, and I swear I was going to get the police were going to knock down my door.
What's funny, though, you actually see more of that, though. I've noticed that many people have never seen the series, ever. Like, I there's a lot more people than I realize that have never actually seen it. Now, I'm 35 years old. I saw the original 3, which is episodes 4 through 6, as a kid. And I liked them. I had the Star Wars bed sheets. I had the Star Wars, pillow shams, all that stuff. I had all that. But it didn't. Once it was done in '83, it was done. I didn't look back. It was like, okay, it exists, and I'll watch it when I want to watch it. But I never really gravitated back and forth to it. And then I saw the three that came out in 99 and 2002, 2005, the episodes 1 through 3, and I hated them. I hated the remake, the prequels. So I was already soft on the movie as it is. But this weekend, my wife and I, we decided to do the marathon, but we didn't do the original 3. We did the original 3. We did 4 through 6, and I'll tell you what, I actually fallen back in love with the trilogy again.
Yeah, it's. I could see it being highly addicting, and it's just really cool. You go to the movie theater, you try to escape reality, and this seems like the perfect situation to do so. Yeah.
I haven't seen the new one. Actually, my wife, as of this recording, is at the theater with her best friend watching the movie. So hopefully she doesn't spoil it for me. I do plan on seeing it some point, either later this week or next week. I will see it. Definitely will see it. It's a matter of when. Hopefully there's no spoilers involved. Anyway, I figure I come in a little lighter before we get to the bones of this podcast because, like I said, you covered the Lakers. It's been a rough year, to say the least. Currently, right now, last in the Western Conference, 4-23. And look, you've been a fan a long time, probably your entire life. Obviously, the last couple years have been rough. But where does this season rank on? In terms of the most frustrating years?
Most frustrating. I think the most frustrating year that any Laker fan will ever point to is always going to be 2012 because you entered the season with such high expectations, and I think in all of sports, like this is the issue I have with the MVP debates, is that it's all so relative. It's all based on the expectations. Steve Nash won 2 MVPs because he's some little white guy who, completely, dominated at his position. But you look at Shaq, who only has 1, and it's because, everybody just thought he was that great. And in 2012, you head into that year and you say, man, they have Dwight Howard, they have Kobe, they have Powell. Metta World Peace is the 4th best player on the team. This team's going to be incredible. And whatever could go wrong did. Oh, I didn't even mention Nash on that team. Whatever could go wrong did, and that year was just the worst. The last 2 seasons, you knew they were going to be terrible. So, aside from the minutia of Byron Scott being the worst coach in the NBA, it hasn't been that frustrating or as frustrating as you would think. It's nice to see the young guys develop, which is all I was looking for this year.
Now, you mentioned Byron Scott. I saw a piece on NBC Sports yesterday about basically the OKC game that was it Saturday? It was Friday. It was Saturday actually. The OKC game got blown out by like 40 points, something like that. And at the end of the game, Byron Scott says, "Well, this team was scared," but then the entire team said, "No, we weren't scared. We just didn't play well and whatever." So. Being on Twitter, of course, and looking at all the Laker fans on there and the frustration, watching this Byron Scott thing this year has been so weird. Look, last year get a pass because last year was just one of those years where Kobe got hurt. That's a mulligan. But watching how this team has just melted and watching the moods just get worse and worse every week with Laker fans, and they hate and now I won't say hate. Because he's a former Laker. You can't really hate Byron Scott. He's done a lot for that franchise as a player. But watching the frustration of fans towards Byron Scott since the beginning of the season, it's been fascinating because, first it's like, oh, well, hopefully he can turn around, and then it's gotten progressively worse. And then now it just feels like from the outside that he's lost his team.
Yeah, you'd be surprised with the amount of hatred going towards Byron Scott. And when he was hired, I wrote something really briefly saying that, well, the good thing about Byron is that he's a former Laker, so that'll give him a little more leeway in terms of expectations from the rest of, from the Lakers fan base because, he quote unquote knows what it means to be a Laker. I didn't agree with the sentiment, but I at least knew where it was coming from. Whereas I wish Mike D'Antoni was around to coach this team because they'd be so much more fun to watch. And I think the young guys, there'd be no question as to whether or not D'Angelo Russell and Jordan Clarkson would be developing under him. Whereas with Byron, there's consistent question as to whether he's equipped to guide these guys in their early stages of their career. And people point to like Kyrie Irving and Jason Kidd. those guys were singularly talented, and I don't think the Lakers have anybody on that level right now. And when you're not singularly talented, those formative years are incredibly important. The fan base isn't happy with them. The quotes, like you say, playing scared against Oklahoma City, those aren't helping at all. I mean, those poor Lakers beat writers, when they send out those quotes, you get the Lakers Twitter kind of quote retweeting and saying arsenide comments, but you get like actual hatred going back at them. It's like the definition of killing the messenger. So those guys are doing a great job, but Byron is not doing a great job, or even a good one, I would even say.
Yeah.
Probably not even a bad one. He's just terrible.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, when he had successful years in New Jersey, well, formerly New Jersey, went to 2 finals.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you see, and then he won a coach a year in New Orleans. So is it the fact he's just not the right fit for this team where it's at now, or is it just the fact that maybe the game has passed him by? Because some of the things he says and some of the things he's operated with this team seems so dated, I guess. Like D'Angelo Russell not getting minutes. I mean, how is he supposed to get better if he's on the bench? I don't get it.
You're preaching. You are the preacher. I am the choir right now.
Yeah.
But you ask if the game has passed him up, or the first question you asked was about the fit, and that is the most viable question here. Is there is no fit between him and this roster. He fails miserably to relate to young players. He says that Julius Randle somehow doesn't put enough energy out there on the court. I think he's, there are all kinds of stats that say, actually, no, Byron, he's working the hardest of anybody on the court. And that just seems like the kind of thing an old guy would say about the young guy, he just doesn't want it, and it's all these narrative-driven comments that completely miss the point of what you're trying to do as a coach. You can't do that with this group. Getting back to fit, the fun thing to think about, the fun hypothetical, is if you flip the order of him and Mike D'Antoni, where Byron has that team with Dwight Howard and Pau Gasol and those guys, and he runs his post-heavy offense, around that front court with Kobe and all that. I think that works out a lot better than Mike D'Antoni did when he tried to, get that old, slow group to run, and for some reason didn't get along with Pau Gasol, which was kind of weird.
Yeah,
and then you bring. Yeah, and then you bring Mike D'Antoni into this group where you look at the roster. Aside from Roy Hibbert, who molasses in the dead of winter, everybody looks like they're really willing to run, and that would be really fun to watch. A 7 seconds or less unit, based around spacing, pick and roll, and quick shots in the offense, and it'd be fun for the kids to actually play in that system.
Percentage chance Byron Scott gets fired in the year?
Maybe 15. There's the issue with firing him is, who do you hire midseason? You could try to hire Tom Thibodeau, but I don't think he really fits that well. He's old school too, and I'd be worried that he runs people into the ground. There's nobody really. Maybe Jeff Van Gundy leaves the booth. There's no way that happens.
Yeah, I think Jeff Van Gundy's happy in the booth. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say he finishes the year, and then they go to Luke Walton, who's really, really popular right now because of the job he's doing in Golden State. I'd imagine we'll talk about them in a little bit, but yeah. I'd say he's the odds-on favorite if I had to wager on it. Right. Luke Walton's the Lakers coach next year.
How shocked were you that Kobe Bryant actually decided in the middle of the year in the middle of the season to just say, yeah, I'm done? I mean, because I thought maybe he'd out this year. You'll see where he stands after the end of the year. He's actually looked better in the last couple of weeks, by the way, for the record. No one's talking about that, but he's actually played a lot better since the announcement. But how shocked are you that he decided to, basically announce this in the middle of the season?
Well, it was kind of funny when it happened because there was all this talk about, oh my God, there was a bunch of people eulogizing Kobe for some reason on some random Tuesday on Twitter, and I jumped on. I thought initially he retired before I read the poem. I thought he retired on the spot. I thought he just said, all right, I stink. I don't want to play like this anymore, and he was going to walk away. So initially I kind of freaked out about that. And then when I realized that he was retiring at the end of the year, he was announcing